Do I have something against the Queen's Gambit as black? Yes. I have a brand new video, actually, against the Queen's Gambit as black. D4, well, unless you mean specifying with D5. So, here, I have a brand new video recommending A6, Knight C3, C5, D5, and now B5. I call it the Grafe Banco. So it's a little bit of a delayed Banco, but it tricks them into the worst line white can play against the Banco, which is with Knight takes B5. And here after E6, there's all sorts of problems for white, actually, that they have to deal with. So the reason it's so tricky move order-wise is because if you kind of played a regular Banco, so C5, D5 is a great response in general if you're hit from the center like this, D5 with these supported. B5 is the general Banco Gambit, and now here Knight C3 is considered just like not a great move to defend B5. It's much better to really just take this pawn and then keep your development normal. Yeah, so you can kind of trick them with the move order by playing the one I recommended there. The other thing I have, the other fun gambit I have on my channel is in the Budapest, with here E5 takes, Knight G4 attacking here. They defend, we attack, they defend, and now 99% of Budapests go with like Bishop C5 or Bishop B4 check, and then they like block that with one of these moves, right? And then you play Queen E7 and get that back. The move I have recommended, though, is with F6. F6 is a particularly fun one because most people will take it after the pressure here. And after Queen takes F6, we're attacking here, and the bishop's going to come out with like Bishop to B4 check. We're going to maybe sacrifice the second pawn with D5 if we're going to castle. So, yeah, it's not that easy for white to deal with all the threats. Note boom is also certainly a valid option out of the Slav. C6, and with ideas of playing D takes C4 and defending that pawn. It is not a gambit, but it is a good line, certainly. Can they play Knight F3 against it? So, I mean, yes, they can play Knight F3 at any moment. You can still play C5 and B5, although it loses its luster a little bit if you're not attacking a knight. Otherwise, the best, like the most objective way to make good sense of this A6 move is to play like E6, and then, you know, okay, they do something, E3, G3, you're saying, now D5. A6 makes a lot of sense because it helps with the idea of D takes C4, and then playing B5. Whether or not there's a bishop recapturing here, D takes C4 and B5 makes a lot of sense, and can make, you know, this pawn chain can make it very annoying for white to get their pawn back. So A6 makes play B5. So we can always make good use of this A6 move, and it's pretty tricky. It's pretty tricky, and I have a whole video explaining that and the full repertoire on that. In fact, why don't we get some more games? I see I have another challenge, Bullet Viper, except to a 5-0 game. Good luck. B5 seems dangerous. Yeah, it is dangerous for white. Busch-Gass. Maybe my opponent's prepared. Bullet Viper is provisionally rated in Blitz, so they are truly a Bullet Viper. Maybe he doesn't know the Busch-Gass Gambit, which is also fun. Ooh, thinks for a while, then plays Knight takes E5. I wonder who's playing mind games here, as we unsheath the Gambit glasses for the first time this stream. Let's go. Gambit glasses on. Busch-Gass activated. This is fun. This is a fun one. Alright, takes, D takes. So, yes, with the Busch-Gass Gambit, this looks a lot like the Stafford, right? This position would be the Stafford. We would have played Knight F6 instead, but Bishop C5 is a move you play all the time in the Stafford regardless. And with this move order, we keep another option to play F5 before Knight F6. And there's a fun line here with C3, Queen H4, attacking here and here, Queen F3, Queen H6 to keep D4 off the table by attacking this bishop. That's fun stuff, but maybe I'll cover that at the end of this. Knight C3 is a good move because Knight F6 would be a Stafford transposition, but H3 is the standard refutation of the Stafford. So instead, I'm going to play F5. I'm going to play the Busch-Gass specialty. So this is where it differs from the Stafford, because we have an opportunity to play f5 and thus strike it. Let's castle. My microphone. It's on. Oh. Okay, sorry that my mic cut. I think it might be back now. I think what happened was the wires sometimes gets a little loose. Can you guys hear me? I don't know what the last thing you heard was. Okay, good. So all right, bishop d4 seems compelling. I think just queen d2. I think takes, knight takes, queen b2 would certainly be what the engine wants, because in that case takes, I can get my pawn back via a very roundabout way, although it's certainly not my first choice. Another option is like bishop d4, b5, b4. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play bishop b4. They might just castle and let me get this pawn, but I'm hoping for queen d2, and then I want to take on e4. Okay, great. Sorry about that. The green button, the green light, I think was on the whole time, which is a little bit confusing, but I just adjusted the wire. The green light is supposed to indicate when it's on and when it's not. Queen d2 does defend here anyway, so I'm not really sure why I did this, actually. I really don't know why that happened and how I can detect that in the future. Okay, what to do with this? Let's just play bishop e6. Queen g6 was also compelling there to stop castles owing to rook takes f3. But I think in general here, our pieces are doing a good job. I'm not sure bishop b4 was worth my time because it was also good on this diagonal, and I had other pieces that really needed developing. But I think in general things are fine. I think after castles, something I want to do is queen g6 and try to use all the files that I can. Like rook d8, there's queen e3. Okay. Queen e5, queen e3. Bishop. Yeah, I think queen e5 is a great move. I think that's a great spot for the queen, because it has a very secret threat, which is bishop d6. And then if I'm threatening mate on h2, then g3 is the only way to stop it, which would lose this bishop. And rook takes f3 is something I'm considering in general, but I think this is a great spot for the queen. And if queen e3, yeah, I wanted to support bishop c5. I was about to say that. I wanted to support this move in particular, because otherwise I thought the queen on e3 actually defends a lot. Like rook d8, queen e3 was a good response. Queen g6, queen e3, also a good response. But here I can knock the queen off this post. And yeah, I was about to say maybe I should have played bishop c4 first. Bishop d6, g3. Okay. Let's play b5, threatening bishop c4. And this seems to continue to keep white on the back foot and not really be able to patch things up. That rook is now going to have to move. You can't play b3 because this knight will hang. And this is strong. I think they missed this. But even if they saw it, it was tough. Because if the rook moves, bishop c4, queen e1, rook takes f3, I almost would have rather that happened, actually. So I think our pieces now are doing great jobs. Oh, so that's now actually going to be trapped. And, ooh, let's apply, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so white's pieces are just not in any position to defend here, and these bishops are cooking. Capital C cooking. I have a couple wins here. One of them is check and queen to f4, and I think there's almost no defense on f3, because queen d1, I don't have rook d8. No one defends on d8. Okay, the most straightforward is just bishop d6. Attacking h2, and I don't think there's any defense. f4, I just take it. e5, I take that as well. And then I checkmate. I think, and then I just checkmate. I think it's really that simple. The rook can't even move to create a square. And wow, those, oh my, these bishops were good. These bishops were good, yeah. So the f5 line is really all about opening these diagonals and opening these files. Okay, wait, the game's not over. I have takes king f3, check king g4. What do we got? And rook f4. Yeah, let's use all our pieces. And with the bishop guarding that square and king e3, I somehow didn't even see that. But we have queen f4 and c5. The king walks all the way there. Nice. Good game. Good game there, Mr. Bullet Viper. That was a good defense. Oh my god. Sound is off? Are we back? Hello, hello? Not off. Okay. Good. So, yes. So, we had a Busch-Gass. They took on e5, knight c6. Takes d takes c6. So, with d takes c6, that's the whole idea of Busch-Gass and Stafford capture. We open this bishop, and we open the queen. And particularly by opening the queen, we stop d4 right away, and knight c3. So this is actually a very important moment that it's not the Stafford. Because if it were the Stafford, and this is just a transposition to this position, then there's h3 here. And h3 is just the easiest way to refute the Stafford and to not even allow a magical variation or anything like that. Because white here just has everything defended. Queen d4, there's just really queen f3. And I just don't have access to the square. And white's just fine. They can probably just prepare a castle that way with d3 and bishop e3. So you have to create more problems in their position, and you do that with f5. f5 before knight f6. So my opponent plays d3, which d3, it's not quite the most common move. Bishop c4 is the most common move, but that can't be good. Yeah, there's just bishop takes f2 check and queen d4, and we're no longer even down a pawn here. So d3 is the most common good move. Knight f6, bishop to g5 is another most common move played by my opponent. h6, takes. And my opponent now correctly does not play the most common move, which is queen f3, which would have actually invited this nice move, bishop to a3. Yes, so it was a tricky bishop h3 that option that game. I assume you mean bishop a3. So almost. If they play queen f3, then there's actually no good defending b2 here. This is a nice little trick and a good thing to watch out for. Yeah, takes. There's queen takes c3 check, attacking the rook and the king. And otherwise, yeah, castles does not help. Takes, and there's a pin. So, I mean, it's a really fun move in general, and we're undermining this knight. And if, like, here, we can just take this and come up ahead. So bishop a3 is kind of a nasty move in this circumstance when white has just no protection, again, on the dark squares. I think with bishop e2, which was a good move, realizing, I think most people play queen f3 to shield f2, not realizing that the knight does an excellent job in this position, so I can't take. And bishop a3, it's an option, but I think, can white just go here? They can. It's an option, and then we can just kind of keep playing like this, with an awkward kind of bishop just hanging out. I guess white can now just make this trade, maybe if they want to, or maybe just some knight move, and I would have to deal with this. But yeah, with the queen over here to defend, I don't have queen f3. Okay, so bishop h3 as an option later in the game. Let's have a look. So bishop e2, I played castles, and bishop f3 was played. So castles here is fine for white, and in general, white should be castling as soon as they can, with the rook now defending f2. Bishop f3 was played, and I played bishop b4. The best move was bishop a3. The best move was bishop a3 to cause problems on this king that is still in the middle. Yes, so there's no knight takes because of bishop takes b2. What a funny resource this is. Bishop takes is not possible because the rook is not here yet. So pawn takes is the only one. And then bishop g4. Wow, really taking advantage of the king in the center. That would have been a nice idea. That would have been a really nice idea. Really take advantage of the king in the center. Like, if you're castling and your opponent isn't, strike right away before giving them a chance. And bishop a3 and takes e4 was the way to do it. The way to get to that move, and I sort of had the right idea, was I realized I want to take e4 here without knight takes e4. And so my solution to that was the much more small-brained bishop b4. I'm like, I'm just going to pin here, and then after queen d2, I'm going to take. But the reason why this configuration for the bishop and queen is so much better than this configuration is because here the queen is defending f2, and I don't have this nice move bishop to g4. So the Giga Brain was bishop a3. So bishop a3, now that's a great way, even better than bishop b4. I mean, this is very difficult resource to find, but it stops knight takes e4 because of the pressure here, and now we're able to hit him with bishop g4 and the pressure on f2. So bishop b4 was not the right way to do that, and my opponent defends successfully. In fact, bishop takes e4 is even possible owing to the queen's defense here, and next they can castle. Before bishop a3, does bishop takes f2 work? No. The knight here makes it just a great, like, this is just a great recapture. Like, it defends all the important things. Like, it's just a knight in the center, hits a lot of squares. Yeah, so bishop b4 was played here, queen d2 takes, pawn takes. Yeah, so bishop takes was a little bit better, because with pawn takes, you kind of keep this bishop in a bit of an awkward spot. Not the best spot. Bishop takes e4, and the bishop's actually kind of cooking, and with castle's next turn, I'm kind of lacking targets, and I really just have a bishop pair in exchange for this extra pawn. Brian, thank you for the game. Thinks b4, only annoying move I haven't found a solid response to. Usually after bishop b3. Thank you, thank you. So let's continue having a look here. D takes e4, so we continue development, castles, and so this is just a kind of a regular position where this is kind of a success of f5. Right? This is kind of a success of f5. This is everything you want. You got the bishop pair. You got kind of an uncomfortable bishop for them. You've got, like, the knight tied down. You've got a huge development advantage. And most importantly with this bishop pair is it's a wide open position. That's where bishops, and particularly both of them together controlling all the colors and x-raying and everything, that's where bishops really thrive. Just a wide open position. I have no pawns in the middle of the board, and just lots of diagonals to cook with, and lots of files for my rooks as well. So this is exactly what you're looking for here. And rook to d8, as I mentioned, just would have been a totally fine move, because queen e3, I could have played queen e5 in that position, and then prepared bishop to c5 and bishop to c4. And in fact, like you're talking about a situation where, like, this queen could even get, like, trapped, because that's how well these bishops are and rooks are controlling lots of important squares in the middle of the board. I played queen e5 first in preparation for queen e3, just to have bishop c5. Because with queen e5, I feel like I'm threatening rook takes f3, or I feel like I'm at least putting that on the table. A better option for white would be getting the bishop off of this very awkward f3 square. And then here would have continued with this, and white here has this resource queen g3 to try and trade rooks. Although maybe I can invade rook d2, so this position's already a little bit better for black. In fact, it's minus 0.7 after even just into this endgame. So queen to e3 was played, but bishop to c5 is a great resource. My bishop came to b4, now comes back to c5. This queen gets knocked around a little bit. Queen e2, b5, another nice resource here. and white is really kind of out of options, as this is now a -2 position. Bishop to c4 is coming, and there's no b3 to stop it, and white's pieces here are a little bit misplaced. This bishop should be really anywhere else. It's kind of like awkwardly not really defending f2 because I have sacrifices for it maybe at any moment, so like that in itself has to be defended, which is not what you want from your only bishop on the board. And a3 was played, b4 was not my idea, bishop to c4 was my idea. But like I said, even if this were to move, I play bishop c4. Yeah, the engine's recommending rook d3. I guess this is just that good. Just takes and rook f8, and God, these bishops are killer. We're just going to take f3. Bishop to d6 is on the table to get him here. This rook can swing around, and some serious checkmating ideas with these pieces just not in good shape. And this is everything you want from your bishop pair in a situation like this. I take f3, bishop to d6 was also possible, but I take f3, and now bishop to d6 with checkmate kind of incoming here, and we got him. So a good game here, and I think this is a good demonstration in general of f5 in the Busch-Gass. I mean, the point of f5 in the Busch-Gass here is you want to make this pawn trade, and you want to just open things up for your bishops, for your rooks, and from there you just kind of want to make threats, and I was able to just control a lot of squares and make threats all over the board. Thank you. 1560 USCF, how to improve middle games? Good question. I mean, the number one thing, as I always say, is tactics. Most games end one way or the other. Either you tactic them or they tactic you. So a great way to spend your time, if you don't have 20 minutes to play an online rapid game and review it, is to just be grinding tactics and looking at your tactics rating. Otherwise, there's not always a tactic in every position, right? But you want to look for tactical elements, like any opening onto the king, any piece that's unprotected, right? So for example, like show me boom, 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 black to play and win, right? There's queen h4 check and winning this bishop. Bishop's unprotected, which is the first thing I noted in the position, and there's an opening onto the king. Actually, the bishop unprotected would be the second thing I noted in the position, the opening onto the king, right? So there's queen h4 check winning that, which is something you can put together. So looking for tactical elements of pieces being unprotected and openings onto the king would be kind of the biggest thing in the way to spot tactics. And by doing a lot of tactics, you'll really train that vision and to look for that in every position automatically, even when there's not a tactic, even when you don't know if there's a tactic. And in general, if there's not, right, which is what I was about to say, if there's not, what you want to do is just improve your worst piece. So if your king's safe, assuming your king's safe, your opponent's king's safe, there's nothing crazy going on, right? So like you're like boom, whatever, boom, 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 right? Here. Like I want to be improving my worst pieces. So I want to continue to improve my position. And once I get everything out, if I have nothing to do at that point, I have nothing to attack, there's nothing really going on, the next thing I want to do with my great position, like let's say I'm able to achieve this, I go here, right? The next thing I want to do with my great position is I want to look to your king. That's what I want to do. So like something I might start thinking about with my rooks is maybe to play, something I might start thinking about with my rooks is maybe to play e4, maybe I play bishop to d6 to open that up, I'm playing knight to g4, I bring my queen out, something like this, to attack. So if in doubt, move your worst piece. Alright. You suck at endgames. I mean, if you can win before the endgame, that's kind of the best. Otherwise, should we play 3-0, 5-0? King's Pawn Game Super Blitz Arena. What's this? It's with Queen H5. That's not fun. I don't want to do that. Let's just play a 5-0 arena as we continue chatting. You got 6th at Chicago Summer Open U1700, and you won with the Von Popiel. Congratulations. Submit that to Weekly Gambit Genius. I think in terms of endgames, what can I say? Endgames at large. I mean, at that level, 1600 10, US, I mean, you certainly
9,
know
8,
all the basics and everything.
7, 6,
I think
5,
the biggest
4,
misconception
3,
of
2,
endgames is that they're so
0.
different from middle games. I think in general, a lot of the same resources, same principles can apply, The biggest difference just with queens on versus queens off is with queens on the most... oh, we got a yang gambit here. With queens on, the most important thing... maybe I'll accept now? Yeah! And I already have the gambit glasses on. With queens on, the most important thing is king safety. With queens off, the most important thing is pass pawns. So... okay, we got a yang gambit here. Let me focus on this against number 2 in the arena. Knight b5 you don't want to play yet, because there's just knight d5, which covers c7 and attacks this. So what we want to do here is actually just make this trade, because rook takes d1 is actually a really nice capture. And if they take this... okay, e5 is the best move, but this is actually very difficult. This is the best move in this position, and it's really tricky. I mean, it's a really tricky find, because you're in a situation where there's almost no way to stop knight c7 owing to this control. And otherwise takes, I'm going to go check and take. And because I control here, you're not going to be able to get my knight. If you could go king d8 here then and control c7 and maybe even come right at my knight, then you'd get it for sure. But otherwise, I am taking that rook and I'm going to pop right back out and I'm going to be up in exchange. Shout out to Mr. Yang Yan. Oh, you're not the 1600. Yeah, I mean, with endgames, I mean, it depends on the strength. Like, you want to know certainly the principles of king and pawn endgames and such. Sorry. And you know, you want to know, like, maybe the bridge and how to win with, I'll go to check, trade off this knight. And this seems like a very good pawn. Speaking of endgames and passed pawns. What was I saying? I keep distracting myself. I could play d6 and stop this. Seems kind of annoying, given that that's definitely black's next move. But I'm probably just going to go here. It's fine. I'll just be up in exchange. We don't need the gambit glasses when we're up in exchange, do we? See, I'm even... Like everything I'm doing right now with queens off is kind of principles I do with queens on, minus attacking the enemy king. Right? Everything I'm doing is just like... I'm just activating my pieces. I went knight c6 check to win an exchange, and then I saved my knight. Like, there was nothing so special about that other than king safety is not very important here. So, it's possible your biggest issue with endgames is in your head, I will say. Because I hear a lot of people talk about this. It's kind of annoying f6. I mean, this bishop can really kind of clog up this whole position, and I don't want that happening. So I might hit him with this, just to kind of make things a little trickier. f6, like, how would I ever dislodge that bishop, right? And then I wouldn't have any way through. Bishop g4. Then maybe I'll sit right there. Yeah, I mean, the bishop pair can be effective this way. But yeah, so with the endgames, I mean, the biggest transition is king safety is everything to pass pawns are everything. And as fewer and fewer pieces are left on the board, you know, the pass pawn is going to become more and more important. Like d7, I guess there's bishop d6. Or is rook f6 here? I didn't even see this. And yeah, this is kind of annoying. G4 is playable. F takes, I have F takes. Just trying to stay on this diagonal. Like I said, pass pawns. Push them. And now if I can get my rook to e8, that'll just win. You're joining the arena? Awesome. Good luck. I think here we can get him with rook e1. And now threatening this. I'm not even using my other rook. This seems good. Seems pretty good right here. Yeah, they have to sacrifice. So yeah, we got him. We got him. Yeah, with this, we just launched that pawn up, and it just went all the way. So takes f6. I don't think that's gonna be effective. I think we can't be quite that lazy. Takes f6. Takes rook e1, e4. f6 takes. It is a little annoying. I'd love to do this and just free myself. Otherwise, how do I get my rooks out of here? I think the best bet, honestly, is just to give this exchange and keep this annoying pawn. I think that was my best bet. I kept that annoying pawn. Like, what are you going to do about it? I have this pawn on c3. You can't block my control. And what I'd like to do now is restrain these guys. There's a little 3-on-2 here. So I'd like to restrain that. If I can. This seems good. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. So what we're going to do is maybe this. Takes king f2. Otherwise, g3. It's a little tricky what my path to winning is here. It might be taking at some moment and trying to win that king and pawn endgame. Otherwise, it's not obvious what I do if black does nothing. Because they were able to achieve this g4 move. If I were to be able to shut that down, then I think this would be easy. I think I would just go here, and my king would just waltz in behind. But I don't want to be stuck. Okay, so here's g3. Okay, you can do 2. Sorry, I'm just reading chat now. I was a little behind. Delayed Schliemann was played by Prague in the candidates and featured on my channel, believe it or not. Something I want to do maybe is just come take this. I recognize that my rook will be distracted in this general direction, and then I'll have to lose this pawn, though. But at least it'll be a little bit of freedom for me. And ideally, I can get my king to... It's so annoying because this bishop can just kind of guard everything on its own color. But... yeah, so let's go takes king h4. I can win this. And they have to go g2 to make me trade here. g2 would threaten bishop h2. So I don't want to allow that. In fact, I can actually just go king h... or they can go g1. So let me go rook g1 here. Alright, and we've cleaned up these pawns. So I've won a pawn, but the thing is my extra pawn is doubled. I don't know why this task of winning this game is so tricky, but it is. But I think we've gotten everything we wanted here. We've destroyed their little fortress. And, you know, with rook d2, I can chase that bishop onto this, which gets him. I have king f7. I have rook takes f6, which is a little more straightforward. Yeah. Nice, nice, nice. All right, we got him there. I'm going to run to the bathroom. I will be back in about 30 seconds.
William Grave, the Gambit man, takes his seat at the board. e4. e5. Knight f3. Bishop c5. The Busch-Gass Gambit on the board. On with the Gambit classes. Hero pawn unlocked.